Hey guys, Gaijin Hunter here. It's July 9th, Thursday, just after midnight actually, and we just got the digital release of today's Famitsu, which is our weekly gaming magazine, and we now have the second huge news installment for Monster Hunter Cross, which is coming out here in Japan during winter 2015. No word yet whether or not we're going to get this in the West, or if or when. So go ahead and make sure you keep the MHX for the West tag in your Twitter when you talk about this. So I'm going to try to go through this a little bit brisk because there's a lot of information to go through and I don't want to bore you down with too many details. So let's just jump right in here. So as you can tell here, the first 2 pages is really dedicated to showing off the new name and details of one of the new 4 main monsters called Dinovaldo. So Dinovaldo is going to be, he's shaped just almost like a great sword. He uses his tail to just slap down and cut down enemies. And his nickname is the Cutting Wyvern, so very fitting. So go ahead and just jump into the things and let's read it together. Okay, so just some new screen capture grabs, which is neat of him. Again, what we learned from him before was that he can then sharpen his tail using his teeth, which then makes it glow fiery red. And it is a fire element. Yeah, so this issue they're going to be covering a bunch of information, including one of the new main monsters, Dinovaldo, new fields, and an interview with the developers. I do love this little phrase that they down here. They say that it's the burning blade that mows down hunters. It's very menacing, huh? So all they're talking about here is that he has an incredibly aggressive, fierce, and fighting spirit. So if you get near him, he just goes totally ham on you and will attack ferociously. And it actually looks like he's pretty nimble as well. He's one of the monsters that doesn't like to let his prey get away, so I think he's going to be on you like flies on poop. So it'd be very interesting. I could see evasion being a very good skill to use against him. Also notice we have a new design for the HUD here. We have a new little jaggedy type of wild design for the health gauge. We have a new color for the clock, and we even have sort of slightly bigger icons now for the players. So I do like the idea that they want this thing to feel fresh and they're giving it a new UI overhaul, which is very nice. Just some pictures down here. And because it has very developed legs, it swings its tail around like it's a huge great sword. One of the fun things is that they're saying is, it doesn't look like it has any weaknesses, so what could it be? Let's go all the way up here. So some new screen captures as well. Just talking about the details that we already knew, that its big major characteristic is its tail, that it can bite and turn into, and they are confirming that it is fire element. And it's almost a type of abrasion that works with its tail, that when it sharpens it, it gets very hot. One of the fun things is they're saying is that, in the series you're known to be able to cut off the tails of monsters. I wonder if that's going to work for this monster or not. My guess is no, but it'll be interesting to find out. They're just joking here, saying that he hits so hard with his hot tail that it might be powerful enough to just instantly cart a hunter. So I think he's almost like a one-shotter, I guess, here, huh? So it should be very interesting. And then look at this new model capture that they have. It's really gorgeous. I don't know if it's a model, it might just be concept art, but it looks really great. And again, the nickname is Cutting Wyvern Dinovaldo. I have no idea what they're going to localize that as. So cool, let's move on to the next page. Okay, the next 2 pages here cover the new map, which is the Prehistoric Forest, and 2 or 3 new monsters, so let's jump right in. Okay, so this is the new field that they've been talking about called the Prehistoric Forest, and one of the things they keep trying to mention is that it is home to very unique vegetation and monsters, so I think there's going to be new materials that you can gather that are only available here. So that sounds very cool. They're just saying, you have a picture of a hunter cooking meat and a huge fossil behind. So this could be hints to a new monster, or it could just be a fossil. I mean, we had a huge fossil in the forest area in Monster Hunter 4U, but there wasn't the big monster with that skeleton, so I wouldn't think too deeply into this one, guys. We do have webbing, so that's nice. I think we could have a Nursella or another new spider monster, which could be fun. They're just talking about it being a very prehistoric place with new and interesting lush things. This is an area that you can jump off of, which is nice. And then the monster that they've covered before, which is the Dimosetos, which they say, it's larger than your normal small monster. And they're actually quite docile, but if you piss them off, they do get aggressive, so you need to be careful. And they are herbivores. Then we have some new monsters. So these are the little buggers that we saw in the reveal trailer that the Sword and Shield was whacking around. So these are green and red guys called the Maccau. The Maccau in Japanese, Maccau. So very interesting. A lot of Japanese users are commenting at how unique and how interesting it is to try to pronounce this. So this is a bird wyvern. I know we don't get a lot of new bird wyverns, so this is one. And just like all the other guys, like the Jaggies, they like to hunt in packs. Then we have their leader, the Great Maccau. So this is the one that we saw in the reveal trailer as well. And his defining characteristic is really his muscular and powerful tail that he uses almost like a springboard to jump around the field and do a wide variety of attacks. One of the things that they try to mention here is that he has very tricky movements and very interesting. So learning how he moves is going to be important to avoid him kicking you around, literally, and pouncing on you. So, very cool new monster. And then they're showing another new monster down here, and we don't know if this is a small monster or a large monster. I think it's small, but maybe it'll have a larger version, maybe not. But it looks like an owl, and it's supposed to be very unique. And of course they say, it attacks with these large claws up here. So I do like owls. I think that would be cool if there's a big one, but we'll see. Okay, the next two pages we have returning flagship monsters. Now this is a very exciting page, and I'm not going to bore you with the details because they're literally just talking about the monsters, how we already know them. So if you don't know these monsters, go ahead and look them up online. You can read all about them. So they want to bring back flagship monsters, so we do get confirmation that good old Zinogre is back, which is nice. We do now know that Tigrex is back, which is even great, because I do enjoy him. They do mention down here that he will probably appear in the Prehistoric Village, or Prehistoric Forest as well. So that will be interesting. I do enjoy seeing new screenshots, and this icon is interesting, the way that they've changed the coloring. Then we do have Brachydios, our man, coming back, so I think this is pretty much a good guarantee that we're going to have our slime weapons back, which or our blast weapons, I'm sorry, which I'm very excited about because I do love blast weapons. And then we have the King of the Sky himself, Rathalos. So always happy to make sure that he's back. He is kind of the series staple, so him taken to the air. Now this is going to get you guys super excited, and if there was any reason for you guys to watch this video today, this is it. But they're saying that there are more flagship monsters than just the ones that are showing up here. It is a pretty safe bet to assume that NARGACUGA is going to be back. That's what they say right here, guys. So in Japanese, just so you guys know, this is pretty much a flat-out confirmation that he's back. They're just not saying, "Oh, he's back. Look." They're saying, it's a pretty safe bet to look forward to that they're going to bring back NARGACUGA, who was not in 4 or 4G. So I'm super hyped about that. NARGACUGA, I can't wait to mount that thing. Oh my god. Okay, let's move on. Okay, the next pages are going to be covering some new art and some new things about the feline palicos and some of their new equipment, and then our new village, which is Beruna. So let's just jump right in. Okay, so this whole section here, they're basically just saying that there's going to be new, wider varieties of support types and skills for your palicos, which is nice to know because they are beefing up the hunters, so it looks like they're beefing up the cats as well, which is nice. It's a nice little boomerang here that we see him lugging around. Nothing really new here that we don't know about, except for they're really giving them personality. Now this is really interesting. So this is the area where they're talking about the new support skills that they have. And just like the hunters, there's different types. There's ones that heal, there's ones that buff, there's ones that do big attacks against monsters, and others various stuff as well. So here they're talking about the new trampoline support skill where the Palico will literally just put a trampoline that then you can use as a jumping stone. Now it's interesting because we actually had the jumping type Palico in the previous game. But I think now they're using trampoline because it's more noticeable. I think one of the complaints that they had was that it was hard to tell when the Palico was telling you, hey, come on. So it's cool that they're using a trampoline. But this is really interesting. It looks like the player here is using a gun lance. At least that's my assumption. And look at this gauge here. This is completely new. So this tells me that they are revamping the gun lance, if that's what this is, to create a new system that we don't know anything about. So it looks like this would be maybe a level 4 shot. I don't know. It's my guess. But we have different various degrees. I don't know whether this has to do with a special skill, like a hunting style or not, but we're going to have to speculate and talk about that some more. Here they're just sort of talking about like the special jar where there's some buffs that they can give your player, and of course large big attacks where they go and ram players. So I think they're going to ram bubbles here, which would be very funny. Then over here on the right, just some more details about the types of felines that are going to be running the village. So there is a part of Dino village called the Palico Plaza, is what they're kind of calling it in Japanese here. So this is just an interesting area with different various functions. We have our help guide, so if you need help in the game, this cat will help you out. We do have confirmation that the Meowster hunters are back, and this is the chief that will help you with that. And we do have the feline girl, and I think they hinted before in the previous issue that she might be the granddaughter of Granny Feline, or whatever she was called from Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. So she will help you with hiring and gathering new felines to hunt with. Some training areas for your Palicos. You can also pet the Mufas, and I think this is just like the Poogies. And other fun stuff as well. We do have a feline here that does item trading, so this is almost like the White Coon. So that system is back, which is exciting because I really like the idea that you could trade for parts for monsters that were not in the game. And then they said here's a very small little taste of some new weapons and gear for, of course, your favorite felines. So very cute designs if you ask me. I particularly like this one. I think it's funky. Okay, and then down here they're just covering the Beruna village. So this is going to be filled with lots of different facilities that you can use. This is our new quest girl. She looks very studious, very energetic from her Japanese. Time will tell if she has the amount of personality to make us love her like we love the Guild Marm, who I very much love. So that's our quest girl. We do have the charismatic commander here, and his job is to teach the hunters how to play. So I wonder if that means that they're going to be adding in either training missions like they had back in Freedom Unite, or maybe they're going to have a new tutorial, which would be very cool. Maybe that's a way that they're going to get you to learn skills, is they're going to have like a whole bunch of training missions that make you do different skills. So that could be cool. Then just basic other stuff. We have like the armory, we have a smithy, we have outside kitchen, all sorts of different stuffs, and just basic shops that you can buy stuff. Here they're just mentioning that of course there's a lot more than just these skills for the Palicos. Stuff like the support dances or huge attacks that do big damage and stuff like that. And here I won't cover any of these because they're really just talking about the villages for people who don't know about them, but these are the 3 returning villages that people learn and love. And a nice note down here is that they're saying that there is one, special field that was very characteristic of this village. For example, we have the mountain area from the original Monster Hunter is coming back. We are getting the snowy village area that's coming back, and we are getting the valley, of course, which we saw it's the valley where NARGACUGA and Bubbles are going to be. But they do mention that they're not just bringing them back as they are. They are going to be doing sort of a remix of them. So it's going to be interesting take on it for this game. So that's very welcoming news. Okay, moving on, and I'll go through this one pretty fast because it's just a lot of talking about stuff we already knew, but they wanted to do an interview with both the director, the producer, and series producer, Tsujimoto-san, who we see in the middle. We love you. Okay, let's just jump in here. We have the nice new art for Dinovaldo, which is nice, which we saw on the first page. Here they're literally just talking about everything they've done already up to this point, talking about, the 11th year for the franchise, wanting to do something new, wanting to do something over the top and fun. And of course the original concept was to bring out playstyles and allow people to really customize the way that they use their weapons. One interesting tidbit here is that they said that they started conceptual work on this game right when they started to work on 4G. So that one of the things that they wanted to do is make sure that they make it stand out and feel very different, which is one of the reasons why they have obviously the focus on playstyles and skills, and also 4 main monsters instead of 1. So that's cool. Then here is interesting. They go into a little bit more about the 4 playstyles. So the first one they said is going to be kind of like Legacy. So this is just going to be basic hunting style, just like you've done up until now. The second one here is going to be skill focused. Now I thought that this was going to be that it would overpower or buff the skill that you choose to take with you, but here it's interesting. They say that you'll be able to equip more skills than normal. So this tells us now that skills are something that you equip and take in with you, and also that you can have more than one. So this is very interesting because if you can equip more than one skill, like you can have 1 healing and 1 attack, or 2 healing ones, imagine that compared with your skills that you bring on. Like you could really come up with some unique combinations and playstyles. So this could also affect what armor skills you might want. So I'm very excited about that. So they say that it's very close to the button commands that you've had in the past games, but is also going to be new. So this tells us that however they plan on implementing the skills, they're not going to be wildly different to pull off, which is very cool. The third style is going to be the aerial attack style. So they said that, they had jump attacks and stuff and mounting in Monster Hunter 4G, but they wanted to make something even more action focused. So they have things like special attacks where you will be able to use the monster and other things or almost like a springboard to jump up and then do additional attacks. I do like this or other things, so it kind of makes me think that you can actually jump off objects, not just monsters. And the fourth style, which they're not willing to get into quite yet, they say is going to be a very technical style, where you can then use very dangerous situations to your advantage. So this will be interesting to find out. They think that this is going to be a very fresh and new way to play for series veterans. It's going to feel different. And here we have a very cool new piece of art of Dragonfly, our nickname for the new flagship monster here. Very cool. So let's move on. And this is our final page. So we have a nice, really cool picture of Bubbles, our favorite new little monster. Our favorite new monster in the valley. And we have the Bubbles, which is its new status effect, which is very cool. So here, this is interesting. They wanted to talk about the skills, because in the previous page they talked about the hunting styles. This one they're talking about the hunting skills. So they said that this is really the secret sauce that's going to allow you to come up with your own play style. Instead of just being like a special attack that you just do once and it's really big, they wanted to have lots of different variations. So you can then, there are certain skills that are kind of blanket and apply to all the weapons, but they do have a bunch of different special skills that are very specific to each weapon. And then you can choose between them and then you equip them and go into battle. So that's very cool. Here they're just talking about the wide variation of the 4 main monsters and that each one of them are just as powerful as the rest. So it really is 4 main monsters. It's not a natural progression from one to the next. Then they talk a little bit more about Dinovaldo and just talking about how cool he is with his tail. And that's it really. I mean, there's no real big information there. They're just giving their final party messages. And they said, as they go on, they're going to talk a little bit more about the game system and how it works. They think that there's some people who are going to go, oh, that's not really what I was expecting, but that's really cool. So it sounds like they're really confident that the system that they've created with playstyles is going to be very unique, very intuitive, and very fun. It's coming out in winter 2015 in Japan. And they are going to be posting a full interview at famitsu.com, so I will check that out in the following days when they do post it, and I will share any major information that they have. And then we have another just really cool art piece on what we call Popodrome, so he looks very cool. And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the news. So we learned a little bit more about one of the new main monsters, obviously, and Dinovaldo. We learned about the names and the characteristics of the other small and large monster, the Maccau's. We do learn now that we have our flagship monsters coming back, and almost guaranteed NARGACUGA as well. And we learned a little bit more about the village and how the playstyles and skills work. So I'm super hyped, okay? So I imagine you guys are as well. So get on Twitter, talk about it. Use the hashtag MHX for the West. One little tag right there. Let's let Capcom know that we are as hungry for this game as Japanese. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed the news, and I will share any new ones that I have. Happy hunting, guys.